So today we have the immense pleasure to speak with Coach Bronson Dant. Bronson has a history of healing himself with a ketogenic way of eating and has gone on to incorporate this lifestyle at the gym for himself and his clients. Bronson bought a CrossFit gym in 2014 and has coached many to physical wellness. In 2018, he began to incorporate a carnivore way of eating, which he has shared with us with great motivation and inspiration. Coach Dant is an author as well, writing the Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness Book and the Meat Life, A Beginner's Guide to the Carnivore Diet. His YouTube channel, Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness, is a wealth of great interviews and education, and we're so happy to talk with you today about all the things in the carnivore space. So welcome to you, and thank you for being here with us. Would you tell us a little bit about your history and evolution into the keto carnivore space? Things you've personally healed with this way of eating, and how does this play into how you work with your clients?
Oh my goodness, we could talk for a long time on all that's a big question. You did some digging. How did you find that first book? That was a book I wrote a long time ago that I thought I disappeared it.
It was gone.
Amy does her homework.
Yeah,
right?
Really. No, that's funny because that was a book that I wrote when I first went carnivore. So I wrote that towards the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, because when I was transitioning to carnivore, I couldn't find anything out there. There was a couple blogs, there might have been one or two Facebook groups. And I'm like, if this is working so well for me, there's got to be a way to get other people to know more information about it. So I did probably 4 or 6 months of research. I'd only been doing carnivore for like 6 months by the time I published it, but it was just like, I got to get something out here. So it was kind of like a really extra long blog of my experiences in the first 6 to 8 months of being carnivore, and just put it out there to say, look, if anybody's interested, here's my experience. That was over 4 years ago. Wow, time flies. So I've been carnivore for over 4 years. I'm 50 years old. I got started when I was 45. I'd been doing CrossFit. I owned a CrossFit gym. I'd been doing fitness for a while. That was kind of the first thing that I thought I needed to do to help fix my health, get in shape, lose fat, all the different things. What I realized was, yes, I was more physically capable, but I was still not happy. I was still not the body composition I wanted. I was still not well. I had IBS, I had urgent bowels, I had a bunch of issues with my gut that were just controlling my life, literally every aspect of my life. And it wasn't until I cut out the veggies and went carnivore that all that stuff just disappeared. So the combination of being fit and then bringing nutrition into that is really what kind of brought all of my goals together and kind of made it possible for me to do the things that I'm able to do now.
I can really relate to that because I had Crohn's disease, and until I did keto for quite a while before I realized that if I got rid of the veggies, really that's what helped to heal. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was mostly like paleo, Whole30 kind of diet before I started, and it was more of a just an experiment. Like, okay, I'm hearing about this thing, let me look into it and see if it helps. I didn't have a set goal of how long I wanted to try it, and I did it overnight. I didn't jump in. I just jumped right into it. It was kind of, okay, whatever meat we have, I'll just eat that and then go buy some more. And within a month, most of my gut issues probably went away. It took me about 3 months to realize that I wasn't having the problems because I'd been so stuck in the routine of doing things a certain way because of my gut. It took several months for me to say, wait, I don't have to do this stuff anymore. I'm free, and just change and kind of relax. Like my stress level was up here all the time. And just being able to bring my stress level down about having to know where every bathroom was every time I went somewhere, having to go 8 times a day and having to have paper towels and toilet paper in my car and in my bag, and everywhere I went, I had to have something just in case something happened. Like, it just, the level of stress that was just lifted off my shoulders in and of itself was a benefit in quality of life outside of the issues themselves. And that had nothing to do. And that's where the combination of being fit and eating right really was made apparent to me, because I was better, like I said, physically. I owned a CrossFit gym. I could work out with the best of them, but I was still overweight. I was still not healthy. It wasn't until the combination of both. If I had just done the fitness thing, I probably would have had the gut issues go away, or sorry, the nutrition. If I had just gone carnivore first and then didn't do fitness, then I'd see what I deal with a lot of my clients where they get healthy, they fix their gut issues, they fix their autoimmune, they fix the different metabolic issues, but then they don't have lean mass, they can't move well, they get hurt all the time, they're always aches and pains, and then there's the whole backwards thing. So it's become really apparent over the past 10 years that you can't do anything to improve your quality of life if you don't include fitness and nutrition together. They both have to be there. And that's really what my message is all about.
Wow. A big message. And currently in the carnivore community, many things are happening. There are like two groups of people. The people advocating for protein, the people advocating for fat. We've been watching a couple of your videos, your interviews with Dr. Cyrus and Dr. and Bart Key, for example. And we wanted to know a little bit more about your thought about this. What the feedbacks and what you take out of your interviews from those guys, and this interview did change your way of eating or your thought or how?
No, not really. Actually, it didn't change anything. It reinforced a lot of the stuff that I currently follow in my methodology as I practice it now. It changed a little bit in my message about protein. So I used to be very pro-protein to the point of where I would tell people you can't overdo protein. Just eat protein if you need it. Like if you're hungry, snack on protein. If you feel like you need to eat more through the day, snack on protein. Like protein was the answer for everything. And I think that aspect of it, I'm going to step back a little bit because you can overeat protein. Now, there's a difference between overeating protein and being high protein or higher protein or getting enough protein. Like part of the problem in the camps that we've got developed in the space, keto space, carnivore space, whatever, is that people are marrying themselves to a term that has no definition. High protein, you ask 5 different people what high protein means, and you're going to get 5 different answers because it means something different. It can mean more protein than you've eaten before. It can be more protein than fat. It can be more protein that your body needs. Like there's different ways that you can define high. So my methodology has always been based on giving your body the adequate protein and the adequate fat that it needs. And the difference in what I'm trying to get people to really understand is we need to stop tying them together. And the conversations I had with Dr. Cyrus and Dr. K, I'm actually spent most of my day today putting notes together because I'm going to be doing it may end up being a series because it's becoming a long outline of videos that I'm going to just kind of review all of this stuff and try to clear it up for people, because even in those 2 videos, they said some things that were contradictory to each other, and then as well just contradictory to what a lot of people know or think they know in general about protein and fat and all these things. So there's a lot of information that's out there. And I think as we get more information, as the mainstream scientific community starts doing more research and we start finding out more data, we get more clinical information, we get people that are coaching and doctors who have patients, and we just get more feedback about what's working and what's not working, there's going to be a lot of confusion. And we need to be able to understand that the extremes, or that the numbers that people are using in their practices, and this is where we get some of the problem. We've got some people who are following 80-20. We've got some people that are saying PSMF. We've got some people that are saying 70-30. We've got some people that are using a 1-to-1. We got other people. There's so many different methods and protocols that individual people are preaching, for lack of a better word, and everybody's looking for the one that's going to work for them. We need to get people to understand, and I hope this is anybody that's listening, I want you to take this to heart. If you are following someone else's method, then that method may be wrong for you. Okay? You have to find your own method. What is going to work for you? And we do that by separating and disconnecting all of the things that we're now connecting. So right now we're connecting protein to fat. If I move my fat, I have to move my protein. disconnect that. They are two separate things. Your body needs them independently of each other. We're connecting our ratios to calories. We can't do that. Calories don't make a difference. So why are we connecting our ratios to those? We need to disconnect that, right? We need to disconnect all of our decisions that we're making for our nutrition based on what someone on the internet told me. And we need to disconnect from that and connect that. That's the one thing we need to connect to is what are my goals and what's working for me. So everybody needs to get out of the, I'm looking for someone to give me a solution, and start buying into, I need to control my own results and come up with my own solution. N+1, self-experimentation, trial and error, turn the knobs individually. Protein is its own thing. Fat is its own thing. Find the number between the two that works well. That, Claire, that may end up being 63, 40, 23, whatever. What's the opposite of 63? 63, 37 for you, right? Stephanie, that may end up being 70, 30. Amy, that may end up being 60-40. But you've turned those knobs individually, the overall ratio percentage of what your diet is means absolutely nothing. And that's the biggest message I'm trying to get people to understand.
And I would add something like, for me, the answer and the numbers are not the same every single day.
Exactly.
Some days I really need tons of protein, and some day I'm really needing tons of fat, and it changes all the time. Yeah.
This is what I really, I struggle to understand why we're so stuck on this thing of it has to be high fat, or people that argue for high fat, or people that argue for high protein. And when did we get into the idea that it has to be compared to anything else other than what your body needs? You're trying to heal yourself. We're trying to heal our body and give our body the nutrition that it needs. Nutrient density, bioavailability, and satiety. Those are the three things that we need to meet. So if I'm over consuming fat because I'm high fat, then by default, in the way that people are doing it now, they're reducing protein. So now I'm protein deficient. If I'm over consuming protein and I'm under consuming fat, now I'm fat deficient. So you're going to be high in one and low in the other when you tie them together. If you try to give your body what it needs for either or, then you're always going to get what you need. And the cool thing about that is they work together. When you're getting fat and protein in the appropriate quantities in each meal, then you're going to have higher levels of satiety. You're going to have higher bioavailability. You're going to have an overall nutrient density that works better for you. So you need them both. And I think sacrificing one for the other is a big mistake.
And I just wanted to say, the other day I heard you say, and like, your body doesn't know what you're trying to do, right?
Right.
That you're trying to jack your chemistry because of something that you've seen or watched or whatever. That your body's going to do what it needs to do with whatever fuel it's given, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your body doesn't know. Just like your body can't count, and your body, it doesn't know if you're trying to meet a ratio. It just knows if you're doing 60-40, that's great. Your body's like, I really could use a little more fat. I really could use a little more protein, or you know what? I don't need that much protein, or I don't need that much fat. That's why we have thresholds. We have a protein threshold, which is the minimum amount of protein that our body needs to maintain metabolic function. And we have an energy threshold, which is the maximum amount of fuel that our body needs before it starts storing in its body fat. So we have levels that we can find individually. That's that experimentation point. You know, take in your protein, eat 1 gram per pound of lean mass or 1 gram per pound of goal weight in protein. Do you feel like you are lethargic? You're hungry all the time? Your blood sugars, if you're measuring your blood glucose, is your blood glucose consistently higher than it should be? Then you might be overeating. If you drop it down, so maybe you start at 1 gram per pound of lean mass or body weight, maybe you go to 0.8 and you try that. I feel good. I'm still working. When I work out, I'm still gaining lean mass at the gym. I have energy. My blood glucose came down a little bit. Okay, maybe that's a good number for you. The same on the body fat. If I jack it up, and maybe I start the same place, maybe I start at 1 gram per pound of lean mass or goal body weight, and I feel fine, but I really could have a little more energy. I don't feel like I've got enough gas throughout the day. Okay, maybe jack it up a little bit, 10 or 15 grams, and see how you feel. Now, if you do that, are you now gaining body fat? If you're not gaining body fat, then you're still under your threshold, and that could be a great number for you. If you do that 10 or 15 pounds extra, and now, hey, I feel better, but I also put on a pound of fat, maybe we got to find something else there. Maybe we're not looking at fat. Maybe it's electrolytes. Maybe it's lean mass. There's some other things we can look at. But there's an evaluation and there's a method to how you modify your macros that has to do with how you read your body. That's why the metrics of performance in athletics is important. The metrics of how well you recover after physical activity is important. The metrics of your body composition over just your weight is important, right? Tracking your macros and keeping an eye on what you're eating, whether it's every ounce or whether it's just in general. I had 2 pounds of ribeye today, but having some idea of what that data is. So when you manipulate and make changes, you know what's happening based on the changes you make. So I think people get stuck in the idea of this should be so easy. All I have to do is eat X, Y, or Z and not track it and not do anything. And for a lot of people who are severely metabolically unhealthy, that can work for a while. But there will come a point, just the same. And this is 90% of my business, ladies. 90% of my business is people who have been high fat, not tracking. And then they get to a point and then they're like, okay, now what? I lost 100 pounds. That's great. I still have 50 pounds to lose. I'm weak. I get hurt all the time. If I get sick, I'm in the hospital. All of these issues that they have because they haven't worked on gaining lean mass. They haven't worked on building muscle, building movement, building stability and safety into their joints, and a bunch of other issues where their metabolism may be running on better gas, but the engine hasn't been taken care of. And that's where protein and exercise and the combination of eating clean, all that stuff comes together.
Really like that you talk about the context as well. I've heard you mention that in a few previous videos. A lot of people tend to just see a video or read some information that this person got this result by doing this.
Right.
Without taking into consideration that person's metabolic health before they did that, just all of the extenuating circumstances that may be completely different from what they've experienced, and trying to get the same results. And it never quite works out that way.
Almost never. Yeah. Yeah. And you might get lucky and happen to connect to that one person who has the same situation or similar enough situation that what they did will work for you. But in many cases, people are going off of popularity or what a friend told them they should do because someone else said they should do it. And context is important. There's so many layers to context, right? The person who's giving the information has their own background and experience. Right. They have a demographic that they're working with. So they have a different message based on who their target audience is. The method of practice. So a doctor is going to have a different context than a fitness trainer. So the way that they work with people and their experience and training and all that stuff also plays a role. How they deliver the message is another thing. So there's a lot of levels. And then on top, that's where the message is coming from in the message itself. And then you have to look at your own context, right? Like you said, how long have I been working out? Do I have experience? Do I not have experience? Am I trying to build muscle? Am I trying to lose fat? Am I unhealthy? What are my goals? Do I have a lot of stress in my life? Like, what's the low-hanging fruit? Should I be focused on de-stressing myself and trying to get better sleep and remove stressors in my life? Or should I be worried on adding things into my routine so that I can improve X, Y, or Z other issues? So there's so many things that go into this. Which I totally understand is probably one of the main reasons why everybody just wants a simple answer. So they hear something and then that's what they do. But it's really the biggest reason why I recommend finding a coach, finding a program from a fitness, nutrition, and a mindset perspective to help you work through those issues, because finding the numbers for your macros, finding a program for a fitness perspective that's going to help you improve is the easy part. It's the mindset about how do you address the issues of prioritization and schedule and limiting beliefs and all the other things that keep you from actually doing the things to help you progress. That's really where a coach can come in. So having a coach who can, one, help filter the information for you and apply the right context to your situation but then also help you work through your own mental issues, because we all have them, of the things that are keeping us and holding us back. So I think that having a coach is probably a big answer. Maybe not a one-on-one coach. It doesn't always have to be one-on-one. There's a lot of group programs, challenges, and things like that. But having some kind of program where you have a guide and support to help you work through those issues is key.
Right. That's another thing that we love that you talk about is mindset and how the focus shouldn't be on weight. That's what we focus on here too. So helping people heal their bodies, which will result in eventual weight, we like to say optimization, not necessarily weight loss. But it seems like a lot of people miss that point. They're trying to lose weight to get healthy rather than getting healthy to lose weight.
Yes.
Like I tell my clients, if you have excess weight that you want to get rid of, there's probably something that needs to heal first.
100%.
You talk about 3 factors, physiological, biological,
neurological.
Neurological. So how do those all work together and play a role?
Yeah. So there's 3 basic factors of human function, and that's those 3. Our body, we have our neurology, so our central nervous system and our brain. We have our biology, which is, you think of it as the chemical stuff that happens inside our body, hormones, triggering, all that kind of stuff. And then we have our physiology. Think of that as the physical aspect, our muscles and our tendons and our bones, how our body moves, that kind of stuff. So when we look at the combination, this is another reason why I love talking about quality of life over weight loss.
Yeah.
Okay. You can do anything, guys. Weight loss is easy. Just stop eating. You'll lose a ton of weight really fast. Okay. Your quality of life is going to suck. So if I had the choice, I would rather focus on improving my quality of life. If I get any weight loss from that, then that's a benefit. But I want to work on doing the things that I can do to improve my quality of life starting today and not wait till I lose the weight. And I see that a lot of times. That's another percentage of a lot of the people I work with. They did everything they could to lose the weight and their quality of life is still crap. And they're like, well, now what? I thought this was going to make my life better, because a number on the scale means everything, right? And we know that it doesn't. So when you take those 3 things, our biology is primarily, there's an impact from a fitness and nutrition perspective on all 3 of these, but I look at our biology as being primarily a nutritional aspect. We can affect our hormones and the chemical makeup and how our body interacts with the food that we eat and functions internally at a higher level through nutrition than anything else. So what we eat can basically help heal and manage and improve our biological function. There is some bleed over from that into our neurological function, the way that our body works. Electrolytes are a great example of that. If we have a good electrolyte balance, our nervous system is going to work like a well-oiled machine. So that's one example of how the nutrition can help neurological function. There's another aspect of neurological function that has to do with its communication and how it controls the physical aspect of our lives. So when we do exercise, we are building muscle, we're increasing bone density, we're increasing flexibility in our body's ability to move, locomote, is that a word? Move, and we're improving our locomotion and our ambulatory system. Get really fun with the words today. And the ability to be physically independent. That's what it's all about, physical independence. I want to be 80 years old, 90 years old and be physically independent. That's the goal. Okay. So when we do that, we have to control that movement somehow. And that's where the central nervous system aspect comes in. So again, we're looking at coordination and balance and being able to control and utilize all of the things on the neurological side that we're supporting through nutrition. So if you look at the 3, nutrition helps with biology, fitness helps with physiology, and the 2 of them together help the brain. And that's how all of that stuff kind of comes together to give us a better quality of life. Does that answer that question, Stephanie?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, as far as the nervous system, like we saw a video come out this week with Dr. Elizabeth Bright about how, our hormones in reaction to different things that happen in our life, that might be keeping us stuck in a particular spot, right? Mentally, and that all plays into all of this and can affect that. Do you think these kind of things that we go through in life can continue to play a role in what's happening and what symptoms we're exhibiting as far as weight, and because that's a symptom, right, of something that's not. I just wonder, what you thought of all that as far as hormones and how they are working in all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, primarily, let's talk about cortisol and stress. If your cortisol is chronically high and you're in a high stress environment a lot, you're going to see physical manifestations of that in added fat, in added body fat, and the reduction of your ability to access the body fat. There's a bunch of different things that can go into the hormones that we have. I have a problem with the phrase that obesity or metabolic syndrome is a hormone problem, because it's not a hormone problem. Your hormones are doing what they're programmed to do. It's a stimulus problem. It's the things that we're doing in the environments that we're allowing ourselves to be in that are causing the problem, right? Insulin does what insulin is supposed to do. If I eat a crap ton of carbs, it's going to mess me up. Insulin's not the problem. My lifestyle habit is the problem. If I don't get good sleep and I'm always up till 1 o'clock at night on my phone or watching Netflix, and I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work, and I'm stressed at my job, and I come home and I got bills to pay and I got kids to take care of, and I do all this, and I'm not doing everything I can to optimize my sleep time, then my cortisol is going to be high. I'm going to have crappy days. I'm going to have bad energy all day long. I'm going to have trouble losing fat. I'm probably going to snack more often and have cravings throughout the day. Like these are not hormone problems. They're, in a way, I'm just thinking of this now out loud, in a way they're hormone symptoms, because again, they're stimulation problems. What are we doing, and what is the environment that we're creating for ourselves? So absolutely, I think hormones play a role, but they play a role in response to what we're making them do, if that makes sense.
To what we're taking in and how overstimulated.
Yeah, our total stress load for most people is way out the roof, way crazy, and we're not really doing everything we can. I think in this space, people are more aware of that. In the health, people that are trying to actively be healthy and fit are generally more aware of that concept. But there's still a lot of things that I think people don't realize, if they actually took stock of what's going on in their day, that there's more things that are affecting them, because emotional stress can be evident in physical symptoms. That's why building lean mass, going to the gym and exercising plays a role hormonally to help reduce stress. And it plays a role physiologically to help reduce stress, because the more lean mass you have, the better hormone management you have. So when you do, the better stress management you have. So all of this stuff kind of plays in, and it all boils down to the same thing. Eat foods that are the most nutrient dense and the least inflammatory as possible, and build muscle.
Yeah, you are thinking about increasing lean mass, and I would like you to go a little bit deeper in this. Okay, I used to be the kind of woman doing tons of cardio, then now I'm doing resistance training, mainly focusing on full body exercises, because I'm a 10 hours working woman and I don't have time to exercise.
Yeah.
It has to be like 20 minutes a day with like squats, with pull-ups, push-ups, like very.
There you go.
But we see as well, and I was wondering about it, a lot of HIIT workouts and CrossFit workouts. For me, it's not the point, because it's too many calories expenditure and I still need to gain some weight. So I don't want to do this. But what are your thoughts on this?
Just eat more.
I'm eating a lot. I gained tons of weight at the beginning of my journey, and I'm quite stuck at the moment.
Okay.
But I'm overeating.
Are you overeating? So when it comes to workouts, I think the biggest thing to think about is do what is accessible to you. So that's going to be different for everybody. So if you're obese, if you're overweight, and just moving around your house is difficult, then move around your house more often. It's finding the lowest hanging fruit that you can sustain and repeat until you get good at it. So the overriding principle of improving your fitness, which means improving your quality of life from day one, is find something that is physically challenging and make it easy. Okay. There's no definition of what that is. It's going to be different for everybody. For some people, they may have some experience and they can go into the gym and back squat with a barbell and 200 pounds. For someone else, just walking up and down the stairs more than 3 times a day is going to be a challenge. Then I would challenge them to walk up and down the stairs 5 times a day. Right. So just find that thing that's right in front of you. That one thing that is telling you that you say at least once a day, once a week, on some frequent basis, that you look at yourself and you're like, man, this sucks. I hate having to do this because it's hard. That's what you need to be doing. Get better at it. If that's getting on the floor to play with your kids or your grandkids or your dog, then get up and down off the floor as many times a day as you can until it becomes easy. When that becomes easy, then you can find something else. Okay, what's something else that I feel limited in? Because we're fighting against limitations. So what are the limitations that you have physically? And then do everything you can to remove them. That is the goal of fitness.
Yeah. And don't you think that we can apply this as well for nutrition? Like when we are settled with some macros and we are good on it, maybe trying to switch and to modify them and challenging our body to adapt to another situation can be good as well.
Yeah, I think if there's a need for it. And that's the thing with nutrition, is nutrition really can be simple or it can be way overcomplicated. So if you just look at nutrition as eating whole foods that are mostly animal-based and making sure you're getting enough fat and protein, 9 times out of 10, there's not much change that you'll need to make from there. Right? It's particularly if your main goal is to just get healed and get to a baseline where you don't have any health issues. You know, you feel like I'm at a good weight. I feel my body composition is okay. I'm doing exercise and I feel like I have energy, and you feel like, okay, I'm fairly unlimited in my ability to do things. The goals that go once you get, so for instance, let's take me, for instance, the goals that I'm going for now have nothing to do with health. I healed my health 4 years ago, right? Not only did I do that, but going carnivore also helped me get my fitness to a point well beyond where I ever could have been before carnivore. So my fitness and my health are now at good levels, well above average. I'm 50 years old. I can do things now that I never thought I'd be able to do, or that I never even did when I was 25. So my goals have nothing to do with health or weight loss, body composition, things like that. So I'm at a lucky point where now I'm free to play. This is when it really gets fun. Everything I do now from a nutrition and fitness perspective is all playtime for me. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? What happens, like I'm planning in the next year sometime, I'm probably going to do 90 days of nothing but eggs. I'm going to eat like 36 eggs a day and see what happens. What could happen? What could go wrong, right? So there's just tons of things that I can play around with and just kind of see. I'll probably do 30 or 60 days of nothing but intuitive eating. I like tracking because I'm a data guy, but you know what? Let's do intuitive and see what happens. If I get where I go with my body composition, does my performance suffer, any of that kind of stuff. So because I've reached that point, I can now play. And that's where I'd love everybody to be able to get. And the thing is, everybody can get there. And that's where the limiting factor, I think a lot of people struggle and they get stuck because they look at me and they go, there's no way I could do that. There's no way I could be like, guys, I was 250 pounds, 70 pounds heavier than I am at 45 years old. And it didn't happen overnight. But, you know, I'm 185 pounds now. My lowest was like 165. I got really tiny. I hated it. I hated being that tiny. I was like skin and bones. My lowest, I lost 70 pounds. I'm at 185 now, about 10% body fat. I love my life. Everything is cool. I never worry about food. I have energy. I can do whatever I want to do. And that's what I want to get everybody to. If I can do it, so can you. So if you're looking at people and you're like, there's no way I could ever do that, then stop saying that to yourself. Mm-hmm. The question is, how can I do that? How long? What do I need to do? The real question actually is, what did he do to get there? What did she do to get there? And it's not necessarily what protocol did they use, how much fat, how much protein. It's how consistent were they over the last 10 years? This is a 10-year, 12-year journey for me. How consistent were they in trying to improve and being willing to make adjustments along the way? Everybody wants to find that one thing that's going to get them there, when you got to realize that that may get you to a point, but at some point, then that has to change to something else because you're changing. So what got you here isn't going to get you there. And that's an iteration process that's going to happen over and over again. So we got to be able to be flexible. In the Army, we call it semper gumby. Right? You got to be flexible. Did that answer your question, Claire?
Yeah.
Kind of off on a little tangent.
We have to think about our goals all the time and to rephrase them all the time, because they are changing. When we are reaching a point where we wanted to be, then we might define another objective.
Exactly.
And
I'll just say that's one of the really cool things about not using weight as a goal.
Yeah.
When you use weight, you have one goal. You get there, then what? Okay. When we use fitness and we use biological, physiological, and neurological factors, if you break those three down, if you take those three things as an umbrella and you break them down into things we can actually measure, there's like 50 different things that you could try to improve on.
Yeah.
Right. We got blood. Just looking at the health markers of our biology and we call that blood work. Just looking at blood work, there's probably 50 different metrics in our blood work that we could look at to determine our health. If we look on the fitness side and the neurological side, there are another 20 that have to do with our body's ability to operate and move and function in fitness, our coordination, our strength, our endurance, our stamina, our agility, our balance, right? Can I process and utilize fuel in glycolytic work? Can I work and do things for a long time and burn fat for oxidative work? I mean, there's so many different things. Can I push things? Can I pull things? Can I carry things? Can I lunge? Can I twist my body and not throw out my back? Like, there's so many different aspects when you throw those three things as an umbrella, that you will never run out of something that you can reset a new goal and improve on.
Yeah, I love this so much, because I'm a mathematician, and and knowing that there is three main points, there is only one plan coming through 3 points, and so with 3 points, it's always stable. If you have 1, it's not stable. If you have 2, it's not stable, and if you have 4, it's not stable neither. So
all right.
that's really, really good.
That was a great metaphor, Claire.
Yeah. Can you tell them more how important testosterone is even for women?
It's important, but I think the biggest thing to think about for pre, peri, and postmenopausal women is go lift weights. That's it. That muscle mass is the number one thing that you can do, and don't avoid protein. Go lift weights and build muscle, and I guarantee you your symptoms of menopause will not be as bad as you think they're going to be. Okay. I see this all the time. I like I said, my demographic, 90%, 85% of my following on social media is women over 40. 99% of my clientele are women over 50.
Wow.
Okay. So I do this all the time, and I can send you guys a link, but we did a study earlier this year. It took 24 women who were peri and postmenopausal. We did an 8-week ketogenic diet with my fitness programming, and every single one of them saw improvements in quality of life, reduction in menopause symptoms, decrease in body fat, increase in lean mass, and increase in athletic performance. So across the board, improvement in all aspects that we tracked. If you are dealing or thinking about, I'm almost there when it comes to menopause, or I'm in it, or what do I do after it? I want to fight off osteoporosis. I want to fight off sarcopenia. I want to do all these things. I want to fight off the extra body fat gain from the hormones changing. All of these things, exercise and protein. Those are the two biggest things. No matter what anybody tells you, don't exercise hard. High intensity exercise is bad for you. You have a high stress load, blah, blah, blah. Bullcrap.
And can you
go lift some weight?
Can you confirm that it's more important to do some weightlifting than walking 10,000 steps a day?
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's the big stuff. Walk 10,000 steps a day.
Absolutely.
It takes ages. Weightlifting.
Well, so just from a time requirement, if you're thinking cardio is going to solve your problems, remember there's a diminishing return on cardio. Okay, so if you do cardio for 30 minutes a day, at some point to get the same effect, you're going to have to go to 45 minutes a day. And then at some point to get the same effect, you're going to have to go to an hour a day because your body gets more efficient at that type of work. So you have to do more to get the same effect. And cardio is a simulation of healthy metabolism. The way that you actually increase metabolic capacity is by building lean mass. Your lean mass drives your metabolism. So the more muscle that you have, the better your metabolism is going to function, and the better it's going to function, the more fuel requirement, glycogen storage, glycogen uptake, all of the things happen when you're not even working out. So the work that you get from your exercise will affect you and last longer when you're done with the exercise. You're going to get the benefit whether you're exercising it or not. Cardio only works while you're doing it. 100%.
But so good for mental health.
Oh,
I love my walk.
Yes. No, yeah. And I'm not saying don't walk.
I know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Walking is a great thing to do. It's a great thing to do for active recovery. It's a great thing to do for mental health. I do some of my best thinking when I'm out for a walk. And I just don't want anybody to think that I'm walking 10,000 steps a day, so I'm good.
Right.
You have to challenge your body. Remember, the goal is quality of life and physical independence. Okay. So this probably won't come out today, but today when we're recording this, I just had a post today that is a reminder to everybody, your body will adapt to the demand that you give it. If you don't demand it, if you don't tell it you want to be physically independent, then it's not going to do it. You don't wake up one day at 80 years old and go, oh, I want to be physically independent today.
Right.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You got to start now and make that happen throughout the rest of your life.
So with weights, is there one way to lift, I guess, that you recommend over another?
Right
Does
way.
it matter? Does it depend on your goals? Like lighter weights, more reps, heavier weights, fewer reps. And does it make a difference for men?
It does and it doesn't. Yeah, that's a really good question. It does and it doesn't. So there's no real right way to answer that question because everybody's coming from a different place. So let's just say that if you're a beginner, one thing to understand that if you're a beginner and you don't know what you're doing when it comes to moving weights, almost anything that you do is going to create some benefit. So just go do something. Okay. It's what we call beginner gains. And again, going back to the neurological and the physiological aspects of fitness, what happens for a beginner is, think about riding a bike, is they're figuring out how to do the movements. So the weights are lighter, the reps are probably less, the intensity is way low from a physiological perspective. They probably don't get too sore, right? Unless you're doing something super simple, then they overdo it. But for the most cases, one of the most common complaints I get from people is, I don't feel like anything's happening. And that's because it's all happening up here. They're building the coordination. They're building the neural pathways so that their brain can control their muscles. They're developing what we call the mind-muscle connection. So they're getting all those things in place. So think about it like riding a bike. That's when you're in your training wheels on the bike. You don't quite have the balance. You don't quite understand pedaling and braking and turning and leaning into it and all these things, because those are all mental things, not physical things. Once you start figuring that stuff out, you start being able to say, oh, when I lift this, I can feel it in my muscle. So feeling things in your muscles, feeling a little bit of soreness, starting to feel the physiological effect of the work is when you're starting to transition into, okay, now I can start doing more intensity and getting more actual physical benefit from the exercise. So that's where you're riding the bike and now training wheels come off and you're riding on the sidewalk, pretty cool. And then you keep doing it and then you're going down hills. And then you keep doing it, and then you're you're jumping off of ramps and going on trails, and you're doing all these crazy things because now the mental aspect is gone. You're not thinking about it, you're just doing. And that's the same process when it comes to exercise. You may start light, you may start doing simple movements, not overly complex, and they're challenging, just trying to figure out how to do it right. But then you're going to progress into things that are heavier, faster, more complicated. So that's the first thing to understand, is it's a process. So just when you start working out, you shouldn't always feel, we're not looking for that burn. We're not looking for that no pain, no gain mentality. It's not the goal. The second thing to understand is when you get through that mental part and your brain is developed and you start getting that feeling of the intensity and feeling it in your body, you want to make sure you are challenging yourself. If it's not challenging, then it's not changing. So again, we're looking for stimulation. So if you can do, and I'll just give a recommendation, if you're weightlifting as a beginner or you're weightlifting getting started, you should be somewhere between, say, 5 and 12 reps of work per set that you do of whatever movement you're doing. If you could do more than 12, it's too light. If you can't even do 5, it's too heavy.
Okay.
Right? So somewhere in between there. And the way that I'll just give you a method. Here's one method of many. There's many ways to do this. One method of many that's really a good way for beginners to start and understand how to progress. There's a concept called progressive overload. And that is every time you do some work, you want to make sure you're trying to do a little bit more. So whether it's another rep, another set, another 5 more pounds of weight, something that's a little bit more. So here's a way that I like to do it. Find a weight that is challenging to do 5 reps. All I can get 5, maybe 6 reps, but I don't know if I can get that 6th one, right? Do that for a week or 2 weeks. Okay. And then the second or third week, try to do that same weight 6 times. And then the next week, try to do it 7 times. And then the next week, try to do it 8 times. Take that same weight until you can go from 5 reps to 12 reps. When you can get to 12, go back to 5 with 5 more pounds or 10 more pounds, or find another weight that's at 5 that's heavier than the weight you started with. And then do the same thing. So you progressively, just each week, you just try to go up, and you can just take that. So maybe you start at 20 pounds with one thing and you get to 12. Okay, I can do it 20 pounds, 12 times now. The next week, let's see if I can do 25, 5 times. And then start the process all over again. And you can do that with every exercise.
Yeah. Coach Bronson, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom today. You do a great job with your content and explaining why context matters, how fitness and building muscle is important for health and healing, and taking the focus off of working out in order to lose weight and putting the focus back on building strength to heal metabolic health. I think that is a message that a lot of people miss. To everyone watching, thank you so much for your support of our channel. We will have Bronson's links listed in the description down below, his website, his book, all the places you can find him. Please take a minute to like, share, comment, click subscribe, and turn on notifications. And don't forget, you can join us for live meetings and special guest speakers when you join the Heart Carnivore community on the Mighty Networks for just $10 a month. The link to join that community, along with all the ways you can reach us at Beyond the Scale, will be linked below as well. Until next time, thanks. Bye.
See you guys.